and welcome to your workshop. So today we're going to be making this really gorgeous foiled gift tag. So, help you make your gifting this season extra festive. It's actually a really simple project and it really won't take that long to do. The only supplies that you will need are you'll need some cardstock in a color of your choice. I would recommend going for quite like a dark color to give you a good contrast with the actual foil so it really stands out. Then of course you're going to need your foiling tool. We're going to be using 2 different size tips, so make sure you've got those to hand as well. You'll need your fine point blade as well. And then of course your actual foil and the tape that came in the packet with the foil. If you don't have that tape, then grab some like washi tape or painter's tape. That should also work fine. And today I'm going to be using a Cricut Maker 3, but you can do this on any of the Cricut machines. Pair of scissors and a mat. We will be needing a mat. I'm using my light grip mat. You should be fine with this blue one or the green standard grip. Just so long as you can get your cardstock to stick onto it and then peel it off without tearing. It's about finding that balance. Okay, so that's everything you're going to need. Oh, I will also be using the brayer tool. It's not an essential, but it does help a little bit when we're applying our cardstock to the mat. So how about we start off by actually finding the project in Cricut Design Space. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so hopefully you can all see Cricut Design Space now. So what we're going to do, this is actually a pre-made, like ready to make project. So if we click into projects, and then just type in Merry and Bright tag into the search bar, and it should pop up. Excellent. It's the very first one here. So click select and then customize. Brilliant. Okay, so you can see the project on your canvas now. I just want to show you what you can see before we go ahead and actually make the project, just so you really understand what we're doing. So you can see there are a few different layers here. We've got, first of all, the darker layer at the back. That's going to be the cut that will cut out the cardstock and make the actual gift tag. And then they've got Merry and, which is going to be foiled, and it's going to be in the bold foiling, so the very thickest tip that you can have. And then the bright underneath will also be foiled in the same color, so that will save us some time, but we'll be using a different tip just to give a little bit of contrast in the finished project. Okay, so if you want to, you can resize your project a little bit. I'm happy with it at this size. So actually we can go ahead straight away and just click on Make It. And just a reminder, make sure you've got the correct machine selected up here. So we're going to select on mat since we'll be loading up the mat. Click confirm. Okay, now we will need to think about where we're placing our design on the on this matte screen, because that's going to help us make sure we place our foil on the cardstock in the right place. So what I usually like to do is move the entire project. So the corner of it is 1 square down, 1 square in. And then I know that's where I can sort of, so long as I've covered with foil all the way up to that point there, then I'll know that my project will, should hopefully transfer properly. Okay, so let's click on continue. And it should now seamlessly connect with my machine. Brilliant. I'm going to select heavy cardstock as my base. If you don't have it here as a favorite, just click on browse all materials, and then you can search cardstock and you'll get all the options up here. I like to use heavy cardstock just because I want to get a really clean cut, and this one will do 2 passes, meaning it will cut the gift tag out twice, and so you're much more likely to get a very good clean cut, no kind of halfway cuts that we sometimes have. Okay, so we'll be fine with a pressure of default. So we can see what we need to do next, which is to load the fine tip. So I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using two different tips. So we're going to start with the fine tip. I'll show you when we load up the machine, but as it indicates here, it's the one with just the one groove at the base. And then we need to get our cardstock on the mat and apply the foil, and then we'll be ready to load the mat. So let's do all those things. Let me stop the share now, and I'll show you how we load up the mat. Probably easier if I switch to my other camera. So give me one moment while I do that. Okay, so hopefully you can see my machine now. So let me just move it a little bit out the way whilst I load up the mat. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm using my light grip mat. It's sticky enough for my cardstock. The green one is also fine. So what I always do is I peel off the cover and then I turn it upside down because you want to keep this part of it very clean so that you don't get, dirt on your mat. And then I just slide it underneath my machine like this, keep it out of the way and safe. And the first thing you're going to do is grab your cardstock and place it on your mat. And if you remember, I mentioned about placement. So long as you've gone all the way to the edges, especially this top left-hand edge, then you should be okay in terms of having the card in the right place. So you can rub it down now like this to make sure it's really got a good bond with the mat. The brayer tool is also really excellent for just making sure that it's all really stuck down properly. I have had times when, I've been a bit lazy and I haven't made sure this is bonded properly. And, if the card slips during the cut, then the whole project gets ruined. So you don't want to do that. So, if I kind of slightly try and move it now, it's not budging. So this is a good secure bond, which is great. Right, next we need to put our foil onto this mat. So I'm going to be using a silver foil, this one here. So this is where you want to start sort of being a little bit gentle. Place it down onto your cardstock and remember to leave enough of a gap from the corners of your cardstock so that you have space to apply your tape, okay? So if anybody is not using this tape, you might need a little bit more space because generally washi tapes are a bit thicker than this one. Okay. Now, the way I like to do this is I like to start with one of the shorter edges. So I'm going to spin my mat this way. And as if you remember, I did say in terms of placing the foil, we know that we moved our project to be one square down, one square across. So, I can see from my mat that I have got, my foil covering that point here, 1 inch down, 1 inch across. So I'm not worried about my foil not being in the right place. This is perfect. Now, what will be helpful next is if you have a paperweight to hand. I've got this one, but I actually trialed it with my plant plot and it worked fine as well. So, just something with a little bit of weight because it helps to apply the first piece of tape. So just put that down in the middle. Okay, the next thing to do is take the tape, that came with your foil. And actually, I would just go to a corner of your cardstock and apply the tape and just gently peel. Make sure it's not causing any tearing. Because, sometimes cardstocks, they're sort of made up with sort of many layers. And you can find that the top layer of your cardstock starts to peel off when you try and remove this tape. If it feels a bit too sticky, just reduce some tackiness by applying, rubbing it on your clothes, and the fabric fibers it picks up will reduce a bit of the stickiness. All right. This is where we need to be a little bit careful. So what you're going to do is hold your tape like this, have it nice and taut, so, stretch it. And then you're going to put the base of your hands, 2 hands down, just to give yourself, make your hands a bit more steady. and then slowly lower the tape. What you'll find is as you get close to the tape, as you get close to the foil, it's quite likely to jump up and stick to the tape. That's why, it's good to have your hands sort of braced. There you can see it's jumped up. And so now, because I've got that paperweight, I can pull away from the paperweight and stick down my foil. Because as we'll see, one of the sort of key things in getting a good transfer is having your foil nice and tight. And so that's why this paperweight was helpful, because it allowed us to pull away without moving the foil on the cardstock. So now spin your foil around and do the opposite side. You won't need the paperweight now because you've got this tape already on. But approach it in the same way. Lower your hands slowly, bring the tape down, and then pull away before you stick it down. Okay? Then just do the same for the other edges. And I'm sure that, if you've done foiling projects before, you'll know that this tape can be reused. So, after this project, make sure you just reapply it onto that backing paper that it came with. So you can definitely get a few uses out of it. And also, in my experience, I found you don't actually have to cover like every single part of the edge of the foil. So long as you sort of anchored each of the edges, then usually it's good enough. Okay, so I think you can see here that my foil is sort of stretched across my cardstock. These sorts of lines indicate that it's being pulled, and actually, you get a good transfer like this. Okay, so I'm happy with this. So we're not ready to load up the machine yet because we haven't put our foiling tool in. So if you remember, we needed to start with the fine tip. So if you can see that here, it's got just the one groove on the end. And so that means this is the fine tip. So I will put it in. And then we are ready to load the mat. Yeah. So if oh, and the other thing to remember is make sure that you move these, the little star wheels on the rod out of the way, because this foil is transferred with pressure. If the the star wheels are not on the edges, then they can run over the top of your foil and you get some unwanted transfer, which we don't want to do. So let's now load our mat. Okay, so you can now see that the or maybe you can't see it. The go button is flashing, so it means it's ready to start the first part of the project. So just hit go. Go, should start. It just takes a little while for the maker to kind of catch up. But don't worry, it will definitely do the foiling. There we go. This part doesn't take long. Okay, so what I'll quickly do is share my screen again. And what you should hopefully see is that I'm now being prompted what to do for the next step. So it says, don't unload the mat. We're not going to do that. It's actually saying to remove the rose gold foil. And then you'll see in this third step, it says, put the rose gold foil onto the cardstock. So we know we don't need to actually change the foil. We're using the same color. So we'll not do that. All we need to do is actually change the tip. So now we need to have the bold tip. So so once I've done that, you can see I just have to hit play again. So let's stop share and change tip. So here you can see it's got the 3 grooves on the end. Then hit play. The good thing about this project is that you don't actually have to change your foil in the middle of the project. It only uses one color, because that just makes it much quicker. And if you've got loads of presents that you need to make little tags for, then you'll definitely appreciate that. Okay, cool. So let me show you my screen again so you can see what Design Space is prompting me to do now. So you can see now we're ready to remove the foil, and then we're going to switch out for the fine point blade, and then again we're going to resume the project. So this is where you want to be a little bit careful, do things slowly. There's no need to rush, because that's when you end up accidentally tearing your cardstock. So just slowly start peeling away. You also get to do the big reveal at this point. Yeah, that's looking lovely. Oh. Right, I'm just going to put this to one side. Just make sure my cardstock is nicely bonded to my mats. Let's change the blade. It's always good to just check your fine point blade for any debris before you start a cut, because it does like to collect that stuff, and obviously that reduces the quality of your cut. All right, there we go. So you might notice it's going over the lines twice, which will mean it should be a really good clean cut. And that's it. It should be done. Cool. So yeah, now we can just unload. You can see the unload button is flashing. So let's move the machine slightly out of the way. Okay, what I always do then is I take my cover and I place my mat upside down on it. And that's just because I don't want to put any debris onto the mat. Then I peel the mat away like this. Okay, so we didn't actually get the tab off that time. No problem. Let's do it again. The reason I'm doing it this way is so that I don't bend the cardstock as I'm removing it from the mat, because that could be a little bit annoying. But there we go. All done. Doesn't that look so pretty? I love it. So there we have a really nice foiled gift tag for your gifts. And it was actually like so easy and quick to make it. So, okay, what I wanted to say is don't throw away the foil that you've got left. The places where the foil has actually transferred, you can see now is like transparent. So yeah, you can't reuse that part there. That's gone. But you've got all these sections around the edges, which you could use in other projects. So actually, this pack of my foil is full of just sheets that I've used for something, and I'm saving because I know I'll find a way of like using up the scraps around the edges. So I'll put that away in a moment. But before we finish the workshop, what I did want to do is I wanted to, just in case you are planning on making, quite a few of these, I wanted to show you quickly how you can do lots of them in one go. What you will need for that, if I just grab it for you, is the larger sized foil sheets. I love these. So these work perfectly with the 12 by 12 sized mat. You'd want a sheet of 12 by 12 inch cardstock, and that's like the standard size that cardstock tends to come in for crafters. So I'm sure you guys all have some of that. And then if you use this foil, because it's got the size, we'll be able to create lots of the tags in one go. This inside, it does have that tape that we used, but in like longer lengths, so that you can stretch it all the way across the foil. So if I just show you on my screen, Let's go back to design space. Okay, so let's click done because this cut is now finished. Okay, so the way that you're going to do this, I think for me, the easiest is what I do is I grab a shape. I'll get a square. And I want to resize this to be the size of the cardstock. So actually right now, my canvas is measuring in centimeters. So I'm just going to quickly change that by going into settings and then canvas imperial. It's the one thing that I just can't think in centimeters when it comes to the size of the mat and cardstock, etc. So change this to like a nice light color that you can just kind of, it won't get in the way. Click on arrange and center back. Okay. And so we're going to use this as our base for arranging the gift tags. So basically what you're going to do now, if this catches up, yeah, select the gift tag and just hit Command C, Command V and copy and paste it. You can also do that by clicking on edit and copy paste there, or even just doing duplicate. You could use the Command D for that as well. And one thing I'm going to be aware of is that I know on my 12 by 12 cardstock, I'll need to leave space around the edge for the foil and the tape. So I know I can't fill all the way to the edge like that. We have to leave a little bit of space. But all you'll need to do is, you know, just copy and paste and fill up the cardstock like this and just keep going until you've filled up as many as will fit. Sorry, my design space is having trouble catching up with me. Just keep going. You get the idea. And what you'll need to do is once you have filled up all the space, and remember, you can also rotate if you want to kind of move them in a bit closer to each other like this. Once you're happy with how many you've got on there, then you can just delete this background square. You don't actually need that because that's not something we're cutting. That was just to help us know exactly how much space we have. Just click over everything and then attach, so that when you go onto your make it screen, it's all kind of there in one on one mat, and it will do all of this cut in one go. The only thing I want you guys to remember is that because there is a foiling step, it will take a little bit of time for this project to complete. So just make sure you remember that when you are doing this, if you're going to cut lots. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this was like a really simple project to do. It looks really gorgeous. So yeah, you could do loads of different color combinations. I've used silver foil, but you've got like, so many different colors. Red might look really nice, so if you did it on white cardstock, actually. But yeah, I hope you had, a good time and had success with your foil. And yeah, hopefully I will catch you again soon. And until then, happy crafting.